Your 2i2, the red box. You'll see two places on the box.
I can't see my box. My box is obscured.
There's two places where it says air, and I need to know what those lights are.
There's no air in my box.
There's air, I guarantee.
There is air, but the buttons are not pushed. You want me to put air in my box?
No. Are they white? Where it says air.
Do I have a white box?
Stop it.
You stop it!
This is Total Babble. Total Babble. It's a show about music, pop culture, social media, movies, the internet, relationships, TV, whatever. Total Babble. The Total Babble Podcast.
I'm so sick of working for a living.
Yeah.
It's for fucking losers. I wish I was better looking.
Win the goddamn lottery. I keep looking for that.
I swear, I keep looking at these OnlyFans bitches who are making like 350 grand a month. And I just think, what are you doing to make that kind of money? And then I see all of these sugar babies running around and everything. And I just think to myself, oh my gosh, I have wasted my life. Here I am, a working schmuck.
Well, and the point is, you don't even have to do anything really sexual. You can just show feet, and that will work. So the question is, what would you do?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, great. I already know. Okay. I would just work out my anger on people. I'd get people to pay me to be fucking awful to them.
And there's probably people that would be into that.
I mean, I hope so. I'd get people to pay me to, like, tell them how bad they are and then, like, smash up cucumbers, imagining it was their penis. I'd be like, I heard of this thing that I thought was very interesting, and I tried to get my friend to do it. She wouldn't do it. Pussy. I'm talking to you. You know who you are. And I wanted her to become, there are these guys who are into this thing called being a pay pig, and I read about it on the internet, and I was like, ooh, interesting. It's a form of, like, dominatrix where these guys, they give their bank details and credit cards and stuff to these girls who just spend their money without permission.
And that turns them on? That's their big kink?
And that turns them on. That's their kink.
Yeah, if you could get in on that, that would be great.
That would be great. Yeah. 6 pairs of crew socks for a 12-year-old boy. Suck shit. 2 pairs of Nikes. Another pair of $700 school uniforms. Like honestly, what are you paying for? $400 in groceries. What would you spend somebody else's money on, Stu?
Well, and here's the point that I'm wanting to get to. There's no equivalent for guys. As much as you women want to be equal, there are no women with that kink wanting guys to spend all of their money and it gets them off. I am willing to be a part of the reciprocal end of that.
Yeah, no.
Give me the reciprocal end. That's what I'm saying.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's quite peculiar, isn't it? It is men who are very dominant in their life, like doctors, CEOs, and all this kind of stuff, and they get off on being dominated by someone because I guess that's what it is. I mean, I don't know the psychology behind it. Please, someone educate me. Far out, man. But yeah, that's it. Pay pigs.
Yeah. All right, so there's no way I can't include that part of the conversation. Welcome to the show. She's Emily. I'm Stu. And this is what we do. We talk about fun and what's going on in the world. And lately, what's going on in the world is not very fun. But I've got a brief story I will share with you.
Oh.
I went to the grocery store, took my bike because I do that. And I'm walking out of the grocery store and I'm accosted by an old German lady with a bike because I've got my backpack and I'm on my bike. And she goes, "Do you have pump? Pump? Do you have pump?" And she's got this heavy accent and we have a language barrier. She's like Colonel Klink from Hogan's Heroes. There's a timely reference. So we're trying to talk. And I said, "No, I don't have a pump. Sorry." And she walked away all dejected. And as she's walking away, she's got a flat tire. I thought, well, I do have CO2 canisters for flat tires in my backpack that I'm remembering now. And then I like kind of debated and I'm like, I've got stuff to do. I've got this work stuff. I've got this going on. And also lately, I don't like to be involved with people. I try not to involve myself in people very often. So I had a conversation with myself and I said, am I going to help this woman? And I said, you should help this woman. I said, but I don't want to get involved. And I said, you would want somebody to help you. And I said, but I don't want to get involved. And then I said, it's the right thing. Do it, you son of a bitch. So then I ride up to her. She's down the block by now walking her bike. And I said, I think I can help you. I have these canisters and we go through a language barrier and she can't really understand me. So I get down and I'm on the ground and I plug the thing in and I inflate her tire and it's full on and I'm trying to get it off because it's still going, I think, and it's going to pop. And that makes me really tense, a popped tire right by me. And I finally get it off, but I still hear and I'm trying to communicate to her, oh shit, you have a really bad leak. You need to get home fast. So I said, go now. And I'm trying to shoo her away like they do Lassie on TV. No, get out of here. You're no good anymore. I'm like, no, you have to go now. You have a fast leak. Is valve? And we can't talk and we're having a language barrier. And I said, just go. And she looked at me like, oh, thank you. And she went on her way. So I'd like to think she got home safely. And I'd like to think that I saved a life that day. And I just want to say that I did that even though these Germans come over here with their flat tires and they take our jobs, but still I was compassionate and I think I did good things.
I'm very proud of you.
There you go. I'm an example for everybody.
Good on you. That's good. You did the right thing. That's lovely.
And it was kind of shitty feeling that I even had to have a conversation with myself over it, you know? I shouldn't have had to say, oh, should I help her? Of course I should help her. Because that's the world that we live in where you should really help each other. And are you flipping me off right there? You were rubbing your face with your middle finger.
No.
Okay.
No.
Thought maybe you were saying, no, you really were a fucker in that and you were rubbing your face.
No, I was just scratching my face. Wow. That says more about you than it does about me. Let me just point that out.
Or maybe I'm just working the bit. That could be too. So that was my big personal event, and not there really that much else going on except the latest and an update on something we talked about last week. Ooh. That goddamn Gene Hackman story. Jesus. Could that get any darker and more terrible?
Far out.
God.
Go ahead, please.
Well,
tell us all about it.
An update for everybody. Basically, they couldn't figure out how he and his wife died. And they think his wife, Betsy, died of the Hunta virus. And that's, I guess you get exposed through rat poop that can be in the air. And she was dead. And he had Alzheimer's so bad that he just wandered around the house for like a week and didn't know what to do and was just completely lost and couldn't take care of himself. And he just eventually died. And probably the dogs died that way because they were malnourished. And that's just like the most fucked up thing I've ever heard. Like if you came up with a dark story like that for a movie, people would go, I don't know if that's believable, you know?
It's absolutely believable. And when you have really advanced dementia, you can't get out of bed sometimes. So he may have just been bedbound and just died from dehydration, malnutrition. And the one dog that died was actually locked up in a crate.
I think I did hear that.
Yeah. So she ate it in the bathroom, unfortunately, while she was trying to take some kind of tablets. And she just fell down and was gone.
Yeah. Like maybe she was going to the bathroom trying to get something because she felt so bad. Mm-hmm. And I think that's maybe a lesson to, hey, if you're feeling bad, go to urgent care and get something done. But then half the time you show up and they go, oh, we don't know what it is. Go home. So who's to say? We've both had that happen, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Also, they were very old and they were living in Mexico.
New Mexico.
Oh, New Mexico, not Mexico. Yeah. New Mexico. Those are two entirely different places.
One of them's newer.
One of them's newer. Oh, well,
and then I think,
sad.
too, like, they must have had friends. Did friends not think of them for that period of time? And wouldn't you check in on them?
What about children? Didn't they have kids?
Yeah, I guess they must have.
And it was more than 2 weeks.
I just think that there should have been something in place to look out for those people. And Obviously, he didn't want anybody to know that he had Alzheimer's because nobody really talked about it. It wasn't in the press, but still, you think you got to set up and look out for yourself in those kind of situations. And it's like the mystical universe that controls things was having this conversation a year ago. And they said, okay, here's how this is going to play out. And then one of them said, nah, that's super dark and fucked up. Save that for 2025. That's going to be much better for that year when everything else is just going to shit. So that'll be perfect. Hold off on that one. It's going to be great when we think things can't get more screwed up and terrible.
The world is a terrible place, that is for sure. But it is really sad. It makes me sad to think that he suffered. Hopefully she went quickly, but the fact that he really suffered really breaks my heart.
And the fact that they are celebrities and this happened, and you would think they have more money and ability to deal with all this than a normal person, makes it dark because people must be going through this kind of thing every day.
Well, think about hoarders who get trapped underneath stacks of papers and starved to death. It happens more than you might think.
Yeah. And the hoarder mentality is so weird to me, too. I have a friend that is completely normal and identifies it, but her parents are complete hoarders. And you go to her parents' house and there's just shit everywhere. Stacks of newspaper, and just it feels gross because they have cats, and you know how I feel about cats. And I walk into a normal cat house and it feels bad, and it's just like, yee, I don't know how people live like that. And it's not to say they're bad people. It's just I don't know how anybody lives like that.
I also realized that after having people I don't know in my house for the first time in 7 years last weekend, that I'm sure people don't understand how we live the way that we live as well. Because I went around and I saw like a whole bunch of other people's houses. Our neighborhood had a thing called a progressive dinner. And when I was having a good day and one of my friends said, hey, do you want to do this thing? I was like, yeah, sure, I do that thing. Fucking idiot. And so I agreed to be a host house. And then when all of the people came out that I would be hosting in my house, I was like, oi, insert friend name here. I don't know a single one of these motherfuckers. And she's like, yeah, well, you will afterwards. I'm like, okay, that's great. So I had raging anxiety for the days leading up. I had to cook a beef tenderloin. It was a whole thing. Of course, the people who came were absolutely wonderful. I have new friends. It was great. But cleaning my house, I have some interesting artwork in my home. I don't have any personalization. Like you go to other people's houses and there's like photos of their kids and everything in all the common areas, wedding photos, shit everywhere. I don't have any of that.
See, but that's how I am. To me, that's normal too. Like I don't have weird ornate things around. It's very utilitarian, I think is the word, and that's how I like it. Lots of blacks and whites and shades of gray, like the studio behind me. That's what all of this is. Those acoustic panels. I mean, that's what it is. And it's people live with like weird antique shit. How do you do that?
I've got a couple of weird antique shit, but my house kind of looks like a Pottery Barn catalog.
That's good.
And I'm okay with it. And we've had stuff that we've had for 15 years, like the same lounge, the same everything. Like it's all lived in, fine. You can tell that people live here, but we don't have a lot of photos and there's no kids' toys out and about. But everyone has their own space. So when you come up into our bedrooms, that's a whole different kettle of fish. Like we have our wedding photos in our bedroom. The boys have all of their toys and personal accoutrement in their rooms. One of my kids has a fish and all of his anime posters and movie posters and musical instruments and all that sort of stuff. And they've got, shit in the basement, all their musical instruments. We've got like a little studio down there and stuff. But in like the main level of the house, you could come there and you wouldn't be able to guess who lived there. And I like that.
Yeah. Well, and everybody has their own thing too. Like I'm thinking about somebody walking through this house, what would they think? And it's like, okay, I refuse to fold T-shirts. T-shirts out of the laundry get thrown up on a shelf. They get wadded up there. It's fine. There's not really wrinkles when I put them on. Underwear and socks get thrown into a drawer. There will be no folding. Bed sheets get thrown onto a shelf because who cares? They're not going to wrinkle anyway. And if they were wrinkled once they were on the bed, Who cares? I'm sleeping in it and it doesn't change the comfort. People would think that's odd. But I feel like at the end of my life, I will have gotten maybe an extra year out of my life as far as time goes by not folding all that shit. And it feels good to me.
I like that for you. I like to fold T-shirts. There are lots of graphic T-shirts in our house because we are a house of 3 boys. And so I fold all of the T-shirts like it's in the shop so you can see all the pictures.
Do you have one of those special devices that they have that you put it down and you bloop, 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 like you work at the Gap or something? Okay.
I use my hands like
now
I
know what
Gap.
I'm getting you for Christmas. I'm getting you one of those special Gap folders. And those plastic guides that you put down and floop, floop, floop.
I don't need it because I just go with my fingers.
I'm a
just
professional.
like, I've done it for so many years.
Oh, you do that thing where you fold in to make the T inward and then you go in thirds, I think is what it is.
I just do it in 2s because of the depth of the shelves in our house, but I just go tick, tick, and then it's done. People can't see me moving my hands, but use your imagination and just imagine that all of these shirts just look fantastic. And then I put them in their little spots, and they like it because they want to know what's on their shirt when they're choosing what to wear.
I guess that makes sense. You want to know what picture is going to be on your chest.
Right.
Well, there's a little glimpse into us. We are wonderful. Also in the news, Dolly Parton's husband died.
I am so upset about Carl. I cried. I literally fucking cried.
He was 82. His name was Carl Dean. She was devoted to him. That's admirable, especially in that business after that many years. And like her, love everything about her. She is the way everyone should aspire to be. She cares for all people. I have a different side conversation because I have another thing where I'm like, am I naive? This many days dumb? Perhaps. Let's talk about her boobs. I had always thought, based on just the way she is and her wholesomeness and genuineness, that they were just real. And now I'm hearing...
Oh my God. Fucking hell, Stuart.
There's my answer.
One of her most famous
this many days
quotes,
dumb.
One of her most famous quotes is, "It costs a lot of money to look this cheap."
Apparently, I'm not that big of a Dolly fan because I always just thought they were just that big and natural and real. And I'm not a boob guy. Like, I don't like that big of boobs. To me, the only thing I don't like about her is her boobs. They're just way too massive and way out of line. And studies show that dudes that are not into big boobs are way smarter. That's absolutely true. So take that, ladies. But anyway, if you're getting that done, why would you go that big and massive? Why?
I don't know. Maybe like back pain.
Yeah, like, ooh, I want to hurt myself and I want to look like an oddity. That's weird to me from an otherwise wholesome, wonderful person.
I don't know. And I don't... the thing about a boob job is you have to get it redone every 10 years. And so she's had a few.
Yeah, she's had other stuff too, I'm sure.
Clearly. I mean, she looks great. She's doing great. I love Dolly. Dolly can do whatever she wants as far as I'm concerned, and I'm just going to keep applauding from a distance. Have you ever heard the story about how her and Carl Dean met?
No. Go with it.
So when Dolly was 18, she moved to Nashville.
Did she have boobs at that point?
I am actually unsure of that.
You don't research your stories.
I don't research my stories. However, she was standing out the front of a laundromat on her first day in Nashville. She had just arrived in Nashville. And Carl Dean stopped and he met her outside the laundromat. And as she describes it, it is not something that he would ever do, like approaching a person. And they met and they became inseparable and they have been together ever since.
Great story.
From that time. So isn't that just so wholesome and lovely?
Totally. Love at first sight. It makes you believe. It makes you happy. It makes you feel wonderful. And Carl Dean is the name of a guy that should be married to Dolly Parton. Like, what's your name? Oh, I'm Carl Dean. Oh, it sounds like you should be married to Dolly Parton.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's life. People die. You move on. It sucks. Welcome to it.
Sucks. So that concludes our in memorandum segment of the Total Babble.
Oh, death and grief and sorrow and murder.
And murder.
Yeah, there's just death in there. If there were grief and sorrow and murder, I'd play the full jingle, but there you go. A couple of eagles are hatching eggs. Have you been watching this whole thing?
I have missed the eagles.
Yeah,
Caw-caw!
Nice. I love the caca. There's eagles that are on a closed circuit camera, and they've been streaming them, and they've had eggs. And I don't watch that kind of thing. I don't need to watch eggs being hatched. But I think their names are Willow and Crickabee. Is that right?
I have no idea, but I'm going to go with it.
Crickabee, and they've had 15 eggs, I think.
I'm not a scientist, but 15 feels too many.
What do you think?
Uh-huh. Okay. Is it more like 2 or 3?
Yeah, their names are Shadow and Jackie, and they had 3 eggs.
Uh-huh.
And I guess they now have 3 mini birds that I guess they call them chicks that they've hatched. And America's just been enthralled by this.
And not eaglets?
They're eaglets, and this brings to mind one of my points, one of my big points. Mini eagles are eaglets. Why do we not call babies peoplets?
You don't?
Well, I do now. I'll tell you that. Moving forward from this day on, babies are going to be called peoplets because what's good for one is good for the other.
Humalets. Umlauts.
Well, now we've got a hard decision to make. Is it humalets or peoplets? Because we're human, but we're also people.
Boyblets, goblets.
Oh, wow. We're at a real fork in the road. Humalets, peoplets. I don't know which way to go.
I don't know which way to go. It's all humorous. It's all good.
All right. We'll have to figure that out. But, yeah, that's been going on. People are enthralled by that. And the Eagles now have actually issued a statement. They said, okay, we'll do this. Fine. Watch our birth. This just came up after a drunk Saturday night anyway. That's how all this happened. But we would like to withdraw our title as the national symbol of the USA. We're fucking embarrassed to be associated with it now. So that's the way the Eagles are feeling. They don't like this current administration either.
Well, I don't know if you know this or not, but the eagle has been misrepresented by this great nation for a very long time. You know the sound of an eagle? The sound. Do you know any movie that plays the sound of an eagle?
Yeah, it's kind of like that sound of that falcon or whatever it is that's in the neighborhood that makes me insane.
Right. That sound that comes to mind with the sound that everybody is hearing right now because it's made famous in every movie and everything, that sound is bullshit. That sound was manipulated. That is not the true sound of an eagle in the wild. The United States, because the eagle is supposed to be this big, massive spirit of strength and freedom.
In today's video, you are going to learn how to identify the chirping calls, sounds, and whistles of a bald eagle. We enjoy.
Oh, that is different. That's more irritating and less patriotic.
Right.
Oh, that would make me insane.
Okay. It doesn't really scream, America! Fuck yeah! Does it?
Yeah, sorry about that. I didn't know that guy was going to talk. I was just trying to find eagle sounds, and we did eventually.
Right. And so because the bald eagle is the symbol of our nation, in true Only in America style, we made it seem much stronger, tougher, more foreboding.
It has a thing that says, I'm going to fuck you up. Caw-caw.
Yeah, exactly. So the caw is a little bit more aggressive than what it is in the wild. And I think it does screech. It does have a screech. But the one that is used and in stock, the stock screech, is not real. And so if you hear it and see a bald eagle in the wild, it doesn't sound like what it sounds like on telly.
Yeah. Well, I'm learning this now. And I'm thinking I'm trying to remember the name of that John Cena show, the one that has Eagly, because that is the coolest bird ever. It's the Marvel show, John Cena. God damn it. Wait, hang on.
I've missed it.
Hey, Siri, what's the name of the John Cena Marvel show, superhero? Peacemaker. She didn't talk. Probably I don't have her set to talk, but it came up in the thing. Peacemaker. You haven't watched Peacemaker?
I haven't. Is it good?
It's great. It's superhero stuff, but it's funny and really raw. And don't watch it with the kids. I would recommend it for you and your husband. It's as good as The Penguin, but in a different, funny kind of way.
I was about to say Peacemaker, technically, alphabetically, comes before Penguin. So I'd have to watch Peacemaker before Penguin.
Different comic universes. That's what the nerds will say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
One
they're
is
different.
DC, one is Marvel. But yeah, Peacemaker is really raw and dirty, and it's just hilarious. Everyone should watch it.
I have been more into Marvel than I have been for DC. So, for example, I haven't ever really watched any of the Superman franchises or anything. Never been into it.
There's no reason. They're all pretty terrible. The first Batman movie they made with Michael Keaton was pretty good.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think if there's any good ones since then. I'm not really into either universe. Like the first Spider-Man was good. That's Marvel. Beyond that, I just don't care. It's like the first 3 Star Wars movies were great and the rest of them suck. Come on, America. Do better.
Is it Nolan, the director of the...
Christopher Nolan? Yeah, he's done
those
a couple
Batmans.
of them, I think. Yeah.
Those are good. With Christian Bale?
Yeah, I can't handle it when they talk like this. Well, okay, stop it. It's like you're trying to disguise your voice because you're calling the pizzeria and you're trying to get a 2-for-1 deal that you got 20 minutes ago. Stop it. Anyway, back to the Eagles. Also going on with these Eagles, the Friends of Big Bear Valley, the FOBBV, is running a naming contest for the bald eagle, Eaglets hatched. So what you do is you submit your name for the Eaglets, and then I guess the nonprofit is going to randomly select 30 names, and the third graders at Big Bear Lake Elementary School will choose the winners from that list. So you know what we're doing here.
We're going to name some eaglets.
Yeah, what would you go with?
I don't know. Fuckface.
They probably won't allow that because third graders are choosing the names.
Fine.
I like your thought, though.
Cocky McBigcock.
They will probably interpret that again as being offensive.
Fucking whatever. Thumper.
Borderline porn stuff going on there, but maybe that one could get past Thumper. We'll see.
I don't know. What are you thinking? Because I'm terrible at this. I can't be trusted. But please, what have you thought of?
I immediately went to Eagly McEagleface.
Yes, I like it.
And I just can't find where to submit the name, though. I have to figure that part out, and then we're going to go with it. And I think if the world gets behind this, like what if we made it a cause and everybody just submitted Eagly McEagleface? They would have to choose that one.
They would have to choose that one. It's like anything that ever gets voted for in Britain. We should just submit a whole bunch of Eagle songs, like Witchy Woman.
Yeah. Oh, you do little inside things, too. Like, what was that lyric? Colitis. Yeah, you make one of the names Colitis because there's that lyric, the smell of Colitis rising up through the air, and nobody knows what Colitis is. It's just some bullshit thing that the Eagles came up with. I'm not an Eagles fan. Not the fucking Eagles, Donnie.
Not the fucking Eagles, Donnie.
What was that movie?
But what about nice names? I mean, I'm just fucking around. Obviously, Fatty McBigcock isn't like a good name for an eagle. Yeah, I mean, stupid, ridiculous, can't be trusted. But what's a nice name? I think, Shadow's a nice name. But what is a nice name for an eagle?
Bambi.
I feel like that has connotations of deer.
Oh, dear.
Yeah.
I lost it there in your accent. Like, what is Dia?
Yeah, what is Dia? Did you mean Dio? He's dead.
Yeah.
What?
Going for something fragile there. I don't know. I don't have the thinking in my head right now.
I think, we've done this before where we're like, things that would make nice names if you didn't know what it was. Chlamydia. Apple.
The majestic
Cinnamon.
chlamydia flying through the sky.
Yeah.
I'm just babbling. It's what we do.
Screecher.
And it would have the real
Thrasher.
screech, the Thrasher. That's an old radio name. Oh, the old days of hard rock radio. I'm Thrasher. Good morning. That was a guy. He got cancer.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry, Thrasher.
I think still alive, though. I think Thrasher's still alive.
Oh, well, that's good. I
Good
love
for
that.
living. Way to live, Thrasher.
Way to live, Thrasher. We could have like Rainbow, Sunshine. You could name them after you could name it after tribes. Like from whatever region they're from, you could name it after the Native American tribe where it's from, like near where it's from, like Sioux or Cheyenne or Creek or something cool like that would be nice.
Yeah. And then the Trump administration would do something to fuck with that, I'm sure, because
could you imagine? Could name it after some really famous, cool people. Huey, Dewey, and Louie.
ooh, that's pretty good. There's 3 of them. This could happen. This is good. So I'm going to submit a couple. I'll use different email addresses because I have aliases, and I'll do Eagly McEagleface, and I'll do Huey, Dewey, and Louie. What were the chipmunks?
Alvin, Simon, Theodore.
Between the 2, Huey, Dewey, and Louie is better because those are birds too, right?
Yeah, ducks.
All right.
I like it.
I like how you connected that. Yes, they're birds. They're ducks. Good one.
Quack, quack.
I am going protesting this weekend.
Yay! How exciting!
I am.
I
I'm
love
pretty
that for
excited
you.
about it.
Do you
Yeah.
have what's in your protest pack?
Nothing yet. I haven't gone before, and I was thinking that I'm just going to go and check it out. And also, I was going to go with Bit Killer Debbie, and I was hoping I could finagle her to make the signs.
Hey, Bit Killer Debbie.
Well, but then she flaked because she has a friend getting out of the hospital, and she's going to a getting out of the hospital party on Saturday, and
Did
there's
a
going to be a
protest
taco
put her
truck.
friend in the party? I mean, did her? Whoa! I don't. Freudian said there. Did a protest put her friend in the hospital?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay, good.
But
good.
she's abandoning her country because there's a taco truck celebration, and I'm a little bit upset about that. So I'm going to go, I think, on my own Saturday, and I don't know if I'm going to have a sign. Got to get signs figured out. I encourage everybody to do the same. I looked at TeslaTakedown.com. It's demonstrations at Tesla dealerships across the country. I guess they do it every Saturday, so you can take a look at that and do something. Because I got tired of sitting here bitching and just screaming about everything going on. And while that is valid and it brings attention to it, I feel like I needed to do something. So you can also do something and find groups on Facebook and all of that sort of thing. So look into that. And then I thought, okay, if I do make a sign, what do I do for signage? What do I want to say? What do I want to send out to the world? Like I was thinking, my traditional thing is fuck these fucking fuckers whenever I'm dealing with anything in this administration. And then I came up with maybe something more friendly that would get on the news if it were being shot. And I thought maybe like fire Elon, not normal people. I think fire Elon, not normal people is pretty good, right?
Yeah. Yes.
And other than that, I have nothing. And probably I'm going to just go on Saturday because I don't want to have to make signs. And I had to go through a whole process with myself of going, where would I even get stuff to make a sign? I thought then I would have to go to Michael's, and doesn't Michael's support Republican administrations? And what is that, Hobby Lobby? They're a bunch of religious fuckers. I don't want to give them any money. So where do I go to buy signs? I think Home Depot is the same. So I'm trying to work out that part of it. I don't know where to go to get stuff to make signs. And if I do, I don't want to spend money with people that are fuckers.
That's going to be difficult.
Yeah.
If you still like the people at Target, you can go and get
Don't go to Target anymore.
cardboard from there.
I go to Target when I absolutely have to, when I can't get anything else from there. I went a few days ago and they sent me a survey. Well, how did you like our shopping experience? I said, the experience was great. And it said, would you recommend Target to your friends? And I said, 0, no. And then I wrote a paragraph about how they're fuckers for the DEI thing.
Yeah, fair enough. Michael's definitely has poster supplies.
I don't know if Michael's is evil. That's the thing I'm trying to figure out.
Hobby Lobby is not great, but
Yeah.
I think Michael's is okay.
Okay. Well, if there's a Michael's representative out there listening, please let us know if you're evil or not.
Yeah.
We'd be open to hearing that.
So here are some plans for the sign. Go for peace, but prepare for war. Do you have a baseball bat? This is the foundation of our sign. This will form what we're holding up
You're
with our
saying
sign.
that should be the sign, or that's what I should do?
No. This is, you know how every sign has a handle, has like a picket?
Yeah.
Okay, a wooden baseball bat will form the foundation of our picketing sign.
What about
Then
a
you
tire iron?
Also very good,
Okay.
although heavy
Yeah.
if you're going to be carrying it around for a long time.
Good point.
So you really want your wheeled to weight ratio to be right, okay? If you want to carry it for a long time, then also be able to swing it, you want to think about
Watch out
that
for
carefully.
the WTR.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So that's what we're going for here. Optimally, you want an aluminium bat or similar.
What about an aluminum bat?
If you can find one.
All right.
Then you sandwich your bat between two pieces of great cardboard that you have pre-painted with an outline of Elon Musk doing his Roman salute that says swastikas and a big circle with a line through it. No swastikas. Because you're going to an anti-Tesla protest, aren't you? Or are you going somewhere else?
That's why I was thinking it would be fire Elon, not normal people. Because I think if I do, maybe I go double-sided. Maybe I go on your side that, and then on the other, I do fire Elon, not normal people. Because then the people that are there aren't going to be pissed at me. They're going to feel like, oh, this guy's looking out for us too. We're normal people having to work for this asshole. I think I'm going to go with that. And then, being that it's a bat you're holding up, it looks extra good if you're having to defend yourself and beat somebody over the head. Then you've got the sign too, and that message is there. So good thinking.
I like it. One other option as well, if you don't want to get like crazy political, but instead you want to talk about death and destruction, is you could be like Tesla, the only car that literally ghosts you. Subtitle, autopilot, more like auto yeet. Talk about how it's killing people by driving them into other people and other cars and traffic.
Tesla, it'll cut off your fingers. Because that electric hatch in the back, that will literally close on your fingers. They don't have any sensors there.
Yep. Also true. Have that. That's a good one.
Tesla, you'll bleed like a stuck pig because all the edges are sharp on it. It's poorly made. It's going to get too involved if I do a bunch of these, but yeah.
It feels like a lot.
Yeah, and I have to just motivate myself, and I have to think, okay, being that bit killer Debbie flaked on me, I now have to take matters into my own hands and figure out how to make a sign. So I'll figure that out, or I'll just go. I don't know.
I imagine that what you're going to do is you're going to drive by and then decide whether or not you want to get out of the car.
Well, that's the other thing. They're doing this apparently at every Tesla dealership around the country. And if I go to my local one and there's like one other person there, I'm not going to stop because I'm the new guy. And if I don't have a sign, it's going to be me standing there going, oh, and that's going to be dumb.
New plan. Better plan.
Yeah.
No signs. Work with me.
All right.
Come closer. Body paint. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to paint your body front and back. And then this way, and we're going stealth mode. Yeah. Okay? We're painting everything that you wanted to say and maybe more, but on your person. You're going to let it dry. Then you were going to wear your normal clothes. Then you're going to go along. You're going to decide whether or not you want to participate or not. You can stealth out of this anytime you want. But then if shit gets real and you want to get amongst it, just get your gear off.
I will be like a chick at Mardi Gras. Woo, look at this. And that's what I'll do. I'll flash everybody.
Yeah, you just rip your shirt off and just wave it around your head. Yeah. And you should have it like a football chant. I think this is what you really need to do. This is better than any sign. Would I also take my shirt and take one end in each hand and kind of floss it between my legs like they do? Would that be a good move? Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Idiot. Didn't mean to have to check. Fucking idiot. What else are you going to be doing if not air humping? What were you going to be doing? Oh, I don't know. Work it out thrusting. As I go. Man. Here's a discussion that we can have. Are you sure? Yeah. Can I be trusted? Please proceed. Sometimes we can be trusted for minutes at a time. Whole minutes. Governor Newsom, our governor here in California. Newsom, he's like a used car salesman. I agree with many of his policies, but he is so fake and plastic and does not speak like a human being. You feel like you should be buying a car from him. And he just always has the worst
political doublespeak. He now has a podcast, and over in this podcast, he's saying, well, let's stress test this. He uses the term stress test about 80 times in his first podcast, and he just won't talk like a normal person. Now, probably because he's running for president, he has this podcast, and he has this conservative on there named Charlie Kirk, who I don't really know that much about. But I have audio. He made this comment about transgender people, and I'll play you the clip, and then we can talk about it. I've edited this, but I have not changed the context at all, and this is Charlie Kirk talking at first.
So like you right now should come out and be like, you know what? The young man who's about to win the state championship in the long jump in female sports,
right.
that shouldn't happen. You as the governor should step out say no.
No, and I appreciate.
But like, would you do something like that? Would you say no men in female sports?
Well, I think it's an issue of fairness. I completely agree with you on that. It is an issue of fairness.
So
let me step back, say completely fair on the issue of fairness. I completely agree. So that's easy to call out, the unfairness of that. There's also a humility and a grace, that these poor people are more likely to commit suicide, have anxiety and depression. And the way that people talk down to vulnerable communities is an issue that I have a hard time with as well. So both things I can hold in my hand. How can we address this issue with the kind of decency that I think, is inherent in you, but not always expressed on the issue? It turns out in 2014, years before I was governor, there was a law established the legal principles that allow trans athletes in women's sports. But the issue of fairness is completely legit. So I completely align with you. And we've got to own that. We've got to acknowledge it. I don't say that through the prism of politics because you disagree with same-sex marriage on principle.
He doesn't say that through the prism. Talk like a goddamn human being. But in any case, is any of what he said terrible and the worst thing ever? Because now trans and LGBTQ groups are just rallying against him, saying how he's hateful and terrible. Did you get anything terrible from that?
No.
Okay. I didn't either.
And I think it's one man's opinion.
Right.
I think like everything, that is his opinion on something.
Right.
This is two people having a conversation about their opinion. This isn't him expressing policy. I'm just listening to two people having a conversation.
And then I think even if he were addressing policy, I would like to have the conversation, and we might piss off a bunch of people with this too, based on the fact that we are very left-leaning. But I just look at the facts of it, and the facts are that I don't hate any group at any time for anything. I'm open to everybody. But if you look at the facts of having a big, burly person that was born as a man that is now a woman, is it reasonable if they go into a boxing ring and box someone that was born a woman? Does that seem fair?
It does not seem fair to me.
That's what I think. And it doesn't mean we hate anybody. It just,
Right. And the laws, they try to inject some fairness as well. Everyone's running around behaving like if you woke up tomorrow and threw on a dress, that you could just go down and step in the ring with a featherweight woman. And that is absolutely incorrect. It takes years of hormone therapy and testing and weights, and not for all sports, but boxing very specifically. But even then, there are some structural differences and blah, 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 blah around boxing. But there have been some attempts to inject elements of fairness. And I think in some instances they have fallen short. And we can see that through how comprehensively trans athletes are dominating in some sporting arenas, which is just an observation. But, it's an interesting one to make. I don't think that there's an easy answer on any of it, but I do not interpret anything that he said as hateful. But I will acknowledge that I myself am not trans. And so trans people may feel differently about that. And I'd be interested to hear why.
My thing has always been that I don't understand how any of that works. I don't understand how people that are going through that feel. I can't pretend to, but I'm always willing to listen to it. And I'm always willing to say, hey, let's be fair about it. Whatever somebody was born as or is now or looks different than now. That should have no effect over whether or not they get a job. It should have no effect over their personal rights. And I don't have to understand that to be for complete equality for them. But I think when you're doing a competitive sporting event, that somebody born as a man, if it's a strength sporting event, maybe a quickness sporting event, they might have an unfair advantage. And that seems reasonable for me to say. But the governor, douche as he is, takes so much crap just for making those statements that he said right there. And again, we come back to, wow, there ought to be some middle ground.
Right. And I am so sad at seeing what is happening to different communities having their rights stripped away. It must be so terrifying to worry about losing your rights every time there's an election.
Yep.
So trans people worried that they'll be having their identity stripped. So there are people who are now being refused to get a driver's license because they don't look like the gender that they were born as. So they can't have ID, so they can't travel. Their passports will no longer be issued with anything other than the birth sex. So all of these decisions have been made. Anybody who wanted to not have a gender on their passport, no, ceased. That used to be a thing, not a thing anymore. So all of this is happening, and it's beyond that too. We have had, we might even be up to 12 states now who are looking to roll back marriage equality.
If I was gay, I would feel
my
very paranoid right now.
God.
And it just, why do you care? And I think about why do you care? And I think it has to come down to that thing that the asshole kids in junior high had. There were those asshole kids in junior high that did the thing where, well, anybody else that looked different and didn't fit in and weren't normal looking, we're going to pick on them and we're going to bully them and we're going to make them feel shitty. I think some people, most of them on the right, have not lost that and they just keep going with that. And what do you care? Just fucking move on.
Just fucking move on. Why do we want to be breaking up families?
Yeah.
Why do we want to be putting people through that stress? What are we doing to the children of those families? We are injecting instability into our world and into the worlds of our friends and neighbors for zero reason. It is absolutely stupid. But I have seen one response online that I thought was just absolutely fucking fantastic. And it is the rise of the Lavender marriage. Are you familiar with the concept?
I'm not. Lavender, tell me.
Okay. So the concept of a lavender marriage was very popular back when gays were closeted. Gay men would enter a relationship with a straight woman willingly, knowingly, and they would have a fantastic relationship. They would often have children. They would raise a family. Things would happen, but he would be gay. He would provide for her, all of this sort of stuff, and it would be amazing. The gays are coming for your women, you fucks, and you have no fucking chance. You do not know what you have done. You cannot compete with the gays. And so just go on now.
They're taking our women.
Yeah, exactly. There is a threat bigger afoot than gay marriage. It is the gays taking your women because they will and they can because they're better than you.
Yeah.
Yeah, they will treat her better. They dress better. They smell better. They have better taste. They will take her dancing. They want to have dinner parties. They want to watch Desperate Housewives. They'll do all of that shit. They'll want to go to the gym and then go out for orange mocha choca frappuccinos. They want to do all of that sort of stuff, and it's fantastic. They want to go shopping for lounges and all of those sorts of things, and they love it.
Yep.
Imagine that. Y'all are so fucked, and I'm delighted. Anyway, it's a big thing on the internet right now, and I cannot wait. Here's an app idea. Lavender, and we match the gays with the women who want to get married, and they want the security, and they want to build a family, but they don't want all the bother. have it.
I think it's probably already out there, and if not, somebody's going to get to it before us. Unless when we get off the air here today, you can immediately make that app and copyright it and produce it, and I'm sure that can be the case with all the other stuff you have going on, right?
Oh, yeah, in my spare time. But somebody else, please
It's a great idea.
have that idea. Please make it happen. You heard it here. Enjoy.
And I just don't get all of the controversy. I am completely for equality in all places, but I feel like a guy boxing a woman or a girl that used to be a guy boxing a woman, that seems unfair to me, but you ought to not be treated differently in your job. You ought to have full equality. You ought to have every opportunity that everybody else has, and I don't understand the people that can't think that way. They are the bullies from junior high, and I'm not the biggest Mark Maron fan. I like him. I think his show is fine, but one of the greatest quotes I ever heard came from him, and that was that vulnerability is like chum in the water to assholes. And that's just completely the way things are nowadays and in this world that we're living. The vulnerability is the chum in the water for the shark assholes, and that's the society that we live in. It's like I said, I don't have to understand what you're going through. I just have to make sure that you get treated well. And there we are.
100%. And my little guy, you know, I have two little guys. The littlest of my little guys has recently been diagnosed with a chronic illness. And so he's got a lot of chum swirling around him right now. And so I'm working up a plan to Cinderella the fuck out of this cunt who has been bullying him at school. He has been getting bullied by some kid at school. So just wondering, is this too extreme? I bash his mum. Then I get her out of the picture. Then I marry his dad. Then I become his stepmom. Then I force his dad to disinherit him. Then I snap off all the branches of the family tree and salt the earth.
Objectively, outside looking in, might be a little bit intricate, might be a little bit involved.
It's true. It's true. I mean,
I'm not saying don't. I'm just saying think out all the little details.
It might take a little bit of time.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a little bit of time, right? It's true. But kids are so forgiving. So, I mean, I've been working this out and marinating on this. And then he came home yesterday, and this kid has been being awful to him for months. And then yesterday he came home from school. I was like, how's your day, mate? He goes, it was great. I was like, cool. I'm dubious about this. What's happened now? He tells me that this kid has just miraculously started being nice to him. And so it made it the best day ever. And so now he's forgiven him. And so I am just hoping that that is behind them. But I am really inspired by my son, who is just so pure of heart. After one day of this horrible child who was making him cry himself to sleep at night so much that he didn't want to go to school, one day he shined on him and one day he was kind to him. And then he's like, okay, well, he's not being mean to me anymore, so it's okay. I'm going to forgive him and we can be friends now. That is admirable, but it couldn't be me.
What he described is something that you would hope for any human being nowadays with all the bullshit in the world going on, but especially a kid having to go through that, because when that's happening, it is the biggest thing in the world, and it is the thing that occupies your mind. Do you think that something happened? Do you think a teacher saw something and stopped it from happening? Do you think maybe that he didn't tell you the truth because he senses you're going to do something about it and he doesn't want something to happen and it's going to get worse in school if you do something about it? Like, how do you think that came to be, I guess?
Good question. I don't think it's the latter. He and I have a good relationship and we have an agreement, which is I will never do or say anything without his permission. So he was going to try and handle it himself. And if he felt like he needed support, he was going to go and have a discussion with the school guidance counselor and just say, hey, I need you to help me come up with a strategy to stop this guy. And he even wrote down all of the incidents. This is what's been happening. All of these things to compose his thoughts, what he didn't like, what he did to try and stop it, all of that stuff. He's prepared.
Right.
So that was his first port of call, if you will, and I would support him in that. So I would never go behind his back and betray his trust.
And he knows you wouldn't do that, and that's the point of that.
Exactly. So no, that wouldn't be it. A teacher could have seen something and said something.
Right.
One of his friends could have seen something and said something. So he is fortunate to have a small group of friends, and some of them are quite popular, quote unquote. And so one of his cooler friends could have given it to this other kid who's relatively new at the school. So it could have been a bit of peer pressure, could have been a teacher. It could also be this kid just being fickle. You know, you never know what people are going through. And I've tried to, as much as I grizzle about this and make jokes and fantasize, you know, about setting this kid's house on fire while he's in it, I do always say to my kids that the way that people behave says more about them than it does about you. And we never know what's going on inside their house and inside them. Traditionally, people who are awful, unless they're some kind of psychopath, they're probably dealing with some horrible shit. Or either their parents are too strict or horrible to them, or their parents ignore them and they're looking for attention or something. There's something going on with them that is not good. And you, unfortunately, are flavor of the month and they've decided to victimize you, which is, you know, awful. And so I try to get them to think about it in the spirit of kindness, try and let it wash over you. But also, if they lay hands on you, knock them the fuck out. This is allowed. And
Yeah.
so this is how we roll up in here.
I
So
really
hopefully
believe that
it's
when
okay.
you are being bullied, knocking the fuck out of a bully will solve the situation. And that can be tough sometimes, though, because if you got a little tiny kid, oftentimes that is the one getting picked on, and throwing a punch sometimes doesn't do enough damage to where the bully is going to back off.
No,
You gotta
exactly.
figure
That's
that
why
part
you
out.
aim for the throat.
All right. Way to go, Mom. Well, we've learned about you. I'm sorry all that's going on for you.
It's okay.
Yeah.
I think the overall thing, and the reason I share these stories is because everyone goes through it. And we all went through it. You went through it. I went through it. And then our kids go through it, and their kids are going to go through it. And it might be 30 years apart. It is the same shit, and it is just a different day. It is a rite of passage. And I have the benefit of sort of experiencing it through a different lens. But the reality is, there's nothing I can do at this juncture, right? It is something that he has to navigate because there are skills he has to learn.
Right.
We have to go through these things to prepare us for the world. And so he just has to go through it. And if I jump in there and I'm all up in his business, he'll never learn those skills. He'll never know how to navigate it. He is going to face that same guy at his next sport team, at his first job, at the it's just throughout. And we all do.
Kids need to learn conflict resolution and learn how to deal with that stuff. And
Yeah, exactly.
And
we just
everybody
get
had
better
an effed up, terrible childhood and went through terrible things. Not to make it about me, but I grew up with a murderer. And then in my teenage years, I was this nerd, dipshit, terrible kid that was hanging out with Terry Nunn from Berlin and hitting on her. Oh, I have a story with that. I'll tell you sometime. I've been thinking about that lately. You should have seen me as a teenager hitting on Terry Nunn from Berlin. It's a little bit of a tease for a future show if I remember and if we get into it.
I can't wait to hear that story.
I thought back on that the other day and I just went, what the fuck was I doing? I was such a loser douche kid, and here I am talking to Terry Nunn, just trying to make it happen. Terry Nunn, look her up. Oh my God, even today.
Well, I like that for you. I like that you what is it? Shoot your shot. You never know.
Yeah. Oh, believe me, in this case, I knew.
Yeah.
She was in her 20s and I was a 13-year-old loser kid. I wasn't just a kid. I was just like the ultimate just dipshit dweeb nerd. And I was hanging out like, oh, yeah, Terry Nunn. One of these days I'll tell that story.
Yeah, I mean, if Terry Nunn went for that, she probably should be in prison.
Yeah, and I thought, wow, she hung out and hung in there very well. I would not have put up with me at that point. Like, I wasn't being gross or anything. I wasn't pawing at her, but it was just like, oh my God, I'm having to put up with this guy. Jesus Christ.
How on earth did you run into her? Was this a At the record store?
It was a
situation?
record store thing. We had them for an in-store, and I worked there when I was really young, and I'll tell the story sometime. For some reason, I thought, I saw something on Berlin, because I still like their first EP. I think their first EP is great. And I was like, oh my God, I remember that. God, I was such a little douche. Anyway, there's a show. It's gone all over, and God damn it, I love it again.
Oh, it's always an absolute pleasure. I hope you have a really great week. The sun is shining.
It's raining here. It's fantastic. I love the rain so
Great.
much.
I love that for you. It's daylight savings, which I don't enjoy. It's dark when I wake up. It's dark when I start my day. And then the sun is up way later than it should be.
Of all the things Trump can be pissed about and do something about, I was hoping there would be something with this. But no. Anyway, everybody have a fantastic week. See you next time.
Okay, you know how this goes. Like us, subscribe, tell your friends, write a nice review, engage with us. We're Total Babble on Instagram, on Facebook, on Threads, and on Blue Sky. Email is show@totalbabble.com. The Total Babble Podcast.